Today I wanted to talk about a concept that I feel like I go over in basically every lesson that I ever have, or every student that I ever have in my lessons, which is basically how to hit people. And I know that might sound simple, you just hit them, but I wanted to talk about the thought process of what you do when you're trying to hit an opponent and different characters and stuff like that. And I feel like it's been really helpful for a lot of the people I've told, and I figured, hey, why not make a video about it? So let's go. So for this example, I'm going to be talking about the characters. Pretend that they're basically on the same floor. So this Mario is here, they're actually on the same floor as me. Basically, what you want to be doing is thinking of the 3 places you can hit your opponent, which is a lot simpler than many other ways, because if you think about, technically where you can hit someone, you can hit them here, and here, and here, here. This is all the places you could throw out a move, right? Like infinite amount of pixels that are barely slightly different and, all the way across the stage, right? But it is actually a lot simpler to think about this in terms of 3 places, which is the space between yourself and your opponent, attacking basically where your opponent is, and then attacking behind your opponent. Attacking between you and your opponent is called undershooting, so you expect your opponent to move forward, you expect them to be aggressive, so you just go, hey, I'm gonna hit you first, right? That can be with a tilt, it can be with an instant aerial, it can be with a dash grab, whatever you want, right? This is useful against characters that you think would move forward a lot, aggressive characters or characters with good burst options. So basically you can just hit them where you expect them to be, right? Characters that would stand still that you would want to attack where they are characters with either good out of shield options, so you expect them to be shielding a lot, or, they have like a chargeable projectile, like a Samus Charge Shot, Mewtwo Shadow Ball, something like that. So you can actually just go a little bit further with your attack and just go, you dash forward and then hit them. Of course, I'm just using this spacing as kind of like, this is a general Mario burst range type of situation, because when you're like this far, everything kind of is further, which means that basically everything you want to do is a little bit more reactable, so it's a little bit more difficult. But like, this is the general burst range of Mario that you should come to expect, right? Because like, you can't really react to run up, raw bear like that, or like this run up dash grab. You're just kind of assuming what's going to happen. Next would be just hitting behind your opponent, right? You expect them to back up, you expect them to dash back, you expect them to, slingshot or something and kind of just go backwards. And that would be, of course, campy characters, or characters that want to run away from you, or characters that are trying to whiff punish you, right? And I'll go over like the defensive end of all of this after, but I just like doing the offense first. So of course, characters that would want to run away, you kind of just run past them and try to hit them, right? One thing you can also do if you are expecting someone to dash back is not necessarily throw out a move, but basically just take the space, right? Because, this character is going to move over here, and you're over here, and now you're over here, which means that now you are closer to the corner, which means that if you read this correctly one more time, right, and they back up yet again, and you go here, and they go here, right, now they can't back up as much because they are in the corner, right? So they don't have the room to back up unless they're going to do something like, run off, double jump, aerial backwards, or are okay going to ledge. That's one of the reasons why Wii Fit Trainer can be annoying, because they're comfortable on the ledge, or Sephiroth can be annoying because they're comfortable on the ledge. But yeah, that's generally why you want corner control, right? Is because it limits your opponent's options when it comes to what they want to do in terms of how to avoid you or how to even hit you. And of course, in this position, you have the ability to back up if you expect them to get aggressive, and then you can whiff punish them, right? But now let's talk about, I guess, the defensive side of all these things, right? So I talked about undershooting, attacking where your opponent is, and overshooting in that order. So if you expect your opponent to undershoot, right, and you're on the defensive end, so you're expecting them to just do this, and again, pretend this is, the Mar. I guess I'll put him on the same level as me now, because it's not really happening. But if you expect them to kind of go for an undershoot, you kind of just stand there, wait, and then whiff punish them, right? That can be with your own aerial, it can be with a punishing of their landing. It doesn't really matter, right? You can just choose based on the appropriate option. It's a little bit hard sometimes for certain punishes, like a Steve auto-cancel back air. Kind of good luck punishing it. It's possible, but it's, the risk reward, especially when you're at death percent, is a little bit scary. But it's still what you're supposed to do, right? If you're expecting someone to just like throw out a bunch of moves here, you can kind of just like be low, or like maybe even like parry and get like a dash grab or something like that. If you want to like be defensive that way, or you can just whiff punish them. If you expect someone to attack where you are, of course, there are 2 options then, right? Which is either to undershoot yourself, because they're going to be approaching, and if you do something first, like they have to wait a little bit if they're attacking where you are, like, right? Like that takes a little bit more time than a back air. So if you expect someone to dash forward, and try to hit you where you are. You can either be aggressive and hit them first, or you can back up. They're going to swing here, and then you kind of whiff punish them, right? So you kind of just go boop, boop, which is kind of like a big thing that's a big thing that happens a lot, because people aren't necessarily attacking where they think you will be. They're just attacking where you are. And sometimes that's, of course, the same thing, but it's not necessarily the same thing. So doing this and classically whiff punishing them, that's going to be your best bet, right? Again, you can undershoot them if you want to be aggressive, or you have really fast aerials that are pretty safe, like Pikachu back air, something like that would be really good. But generally, a lot of characters will just kind of back up and then hit the opponent afterwards, right? And if you expect your opponent to overshoot, right, which would be them, instead of attacking here or somewhere in the space between, they're attacking mostly like here because they expect you to do this backdash, you can either just like wait and throw a move out, right? It's not necessarily an undershoot, because they're not reacting, right? Like a big thing that happens in terms of overshooting is my head see-through. It is a little bit, that's crazy. They're not really reacting to what you're doing. They're mostly just kind of guessing and expecting you to be here. And of course they can potentially react and kind of like dash forward and be like, oops, I messed up, and then like wave dash back when they kind of see that you haven't moved. But that's like pretty high level stuff, and a lot of people, once they commit to like, hey, you're gonna probably go this direction or you're gonna move here, they're gonna just commit to it. So you can either hit them before they get to you, because again, they're not throwing out a move until here, right? Or you can just kind of you can either attack where you are or undershoot. Or of course, like roll through them in a little bit more of a defensive way. But I'm talking about like if you're still thinking about getting a hit. Otherwise, you can kind of just like jump around them or something like that. Of course, like all of this does get a little bit more complicated with jumping versus not jumping. But those are type of habits that you can figure out as you are playing. Because if you already kind of pin down the movement to are they moving forward and so you undershoot, are they standing still, or are they moving backwards, you know, that can kind of be your first step to like figuring out where your opponent is going to be. And then you go, okay, well, when they back up, do they jump? Do they do this? Or do they just kind of stay on the ground, right? Because some people like to jump more, some people like staying on the ground, some characters like it one way or the other as well, right? And that's kind of the next thing that I want to talk about. Is the next step of this is first off understanding the undershooting, overshooting, standing still type of dichotomy, or not the trichotomy, if you will. And the thing after that you have to really think about is, okay, well, what does my opponent's character like to do? So as I mentioned, there are, you know, things that you would want to be paying attention to that would make this a little bit easier. I mentioned a couple characters, right? Like, oh, good out of shield options. So you think Game & Watch, you think Samus, they like standing still. Characters that are really good at whiff punishing, you would think the fast mobile characters with good dash attacks like Joker and Greninja, they like backing up because they will just go back up and then dash attack you, or back up and then dash grab you, or whatever, right? And then there's characters that have fast aggressive buttons that are going to be a little bit more aggressive. So you can think Mii Brawler, Fox, Pikachu. Of course, there are certain characters, like most characters, like 2 of the 3. Some characters are comfortable doing all 3. Because they're like, I have good out of shield options, I like approaching because I have good safe aerials and a lot of benefit off of it, and I also like backing up because I'm hard to hit, right? That's kind of why Pikachu is a good character, is because he's really comfortable doing all 3. It also makes things a little bit more difficult because you are comfortable doing everything, so if you make the wrong decision, like it's not like, oh, well, my character's bad at doing that, and I tried to do it anyway, so therefore that was my bad. It's like, no, technically it's good, you just have to make the right decision, right? That's why some characters with more options are a little bit more difficult. But yeah, that's basically the thing that you want to think about, right? Is, okay, what characters like to do what? From like character select screen, right? So you think, okay, a character like Joker, he doesn't really have good out of shield game unless the Joker is specifically good at footstool gun out of shield, which is like 3 Jokers in the world. So if I'm fighting Omega, maybe he'll stand still a little bit more. But in general, I would think that Joker, well, I mean, I guess they kind of want to stand still anyway, but Joker generally likes to back up. That's his number 1, right? And this is without Arsene first. He likes to back up and stand still because he either wants to use gun or back up and try to get a whiff punish, or like, you know, do things with side B and stuff like that. His aggressive options aren't that safe, right? Like F tilt is minus like 13. The only safe aerial he has is super landing back air, which is minus 5, and super landing nair, which is minus 5. But nair's kind of slow, you can parry it. Those can get a little bit obvious, right? So generally he's going to stand still and back up, which means that when you are in this position at go, right? Like let's say you're just like going to be on opposite sides of the platform just for the sake of it, you can kind of assume that Joker is not going to be aggressive into you for the most part. He can still do it, of course, because you have to mix in your non-traditional options to make the traditional options work better, but still you can generally think, okay, they're going to stand still and back up, they're going to wait for me to approach, right? And so that means at the very beginning when you fight a Joker, you can just kind of back up and over, you can like run forward and overshoot into them with a little bit more confidence. Of course, when he has Arsene, it's a little bit different because Nair becomes a 2-hit move. He gets a lot of reward off of every hit now, so it's a little bit more rewarding for him to be more aggressive, and also he doesn't want to back up and put himself in the corner and get hit there, because then he's going to be off stage, and Arsene recovery is a lot more exploitable than the tether recovery, right? So those are the type of things you have to think about when it comes to characters and what they want to do. So he's going to be a little bit more aggressive in that case, because even if he gets hit, he's not going to get hit off stage quite as often. And I'm going to give you a character right now that you have to guess 2 of the 3, either approaching, retreating, or standing still, would this character like to do, and I'm going to be saying Greninja. So in a couple seconds I'm going to give the answer, so if you want to comment it down below just to see if you were right, and then you can comment afterwards, I was right, oh my god. And while you're down there, of course, don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications, ring the bell, buy a Medify lesson if you want to learn more about this type of stuff or see what else I can help you with, right? But so Greninja generally will want to, in my opinion, right, he either wants to back up, because again, as I mentioned, he's fast, he likes to whiff punish, he has a good dash attack, so he's trying to get you to approach into him. He's also, his dash is really low, so it's hard to hit him with rising aerials unless you have a really, really good rising aerial. Or he wants to be aggressive, right, because he has really fast speed, he has like a pretty good landing there, so in general, he wants to either move forward or move backwards. He's a very mobile character, he does not want to be caught standing still, and his out of shield options are like pretty bad, because he doesn't have a standard grab, so his grab is one of the worst grabs out of shield in the game. His footstool downer is like his best option out of shield, but that's not particularly good. It doesn't really combo into that much until high percents, and he doesn't have any aerials that would combo out of shield, so it has to be like parries or footstool out of shield specifically, and if you space, he just can't get those things. So he doesn't want to be in shield in the first place. He just wants to be moving around. He either wants to be aggressive and like dash attack into you, or he's going to back up, wait for you to do something, and then dash attack you and get his crazy combo game going, right? And those are the type of things that you can think about for every character. Do they have safe approaching options? Do they have really rewarding approaching options even if they aren't safe? Do they have projectiles that they want to spam? Do they have good out of shield options? Those are the type of things that you have to think about a character when it comes to defining a game plan versus them. And the next step is, okay, you have a defined game plan that you expect your opponent to do in terms of their movement, in terms of their jumps and stuff like that. Like, what do they want to do? And then you play someone and you're playing the game, and you can notice, okay, they're either falling into the patterns that I expected them to, or wow, they're really breaking what I expected them to do. I thought they were going to stand still and move forward, and they are, retreating and backing up a lot, and I'm getting whiff punished a lot. And breaking it down into 3 areas makes it very, very easy to figure out which options your opponent is doing, right, and what they are able to kind of bring to the table that's different than what you expect. And that is very important, because again, throwing people off is definitely important in terms of a match, especially with how good people's combo games and advantage states are. It's like, oh, you surprise someone once, that might be like 70% or a stock or something like that. But that's literally what you have to do, because if you're doing something that's just standard, it's probably not going to be working super well. But at the same time, if on the, you're responding to it, and it's like, okay, well, I expected them to move forward and back up, and they're approaching a lot, therefore I can kind of immediately switch my game plan, because you aren't thinking about, oh, well, they're actually attacking right under this part of the platform all the time, I just need to space around that, and then you keep getting hit because they're not, it's not necessarily about the exact spacing and stage position, it's about relative to where you are, what they are doing. So you can think, hey, this character likes doing 2 of the 3, this person likes doing the 3rd one, so actually I'm going to adapt to that, and then start like, with punishing myself and backing up, and then they're going to be aggressive into me, and I'm going to get big punishes, right? And that's literally what you have to do. That is the basis of how to hit your opponent. And it's a lot more complicated than you would expect. Obviously, there's 80 bajillion characters. You can also work on bad information, because if you're playing worse people that like to do specific things, and then you play someone that's just better, and then you realize, oh, maybe the experience that I have against an opponent or like against a character wasn't actually correct, so therefore now you have to like switch your entire thing, or at the very least adapt against that person, which can get a little bit complicated. But yeah, if you have any more questions about this, let me know down in the comments down below. I would appreciate it. I'm always down to talk about this stuff. This is a lot of the type of analysis that I do with my lessons when I notice people are like attacking in one way too much, or they're not really responding to what their opponent is doing. But yeah, it can get really complicated. It is pretty difficult to think of all those things in the middle of a match and also still like doing everything else that you need to do. So if you haven't thought about that, don't worry about it. And again, I want to make this clear that like even top players are like still learning learning to consciously do this. Like I was talking to Andric, or like I saw Andric tweet something that was just like, man, like consciously hitting your opponent is like, I'm just learning to hit my opponent. And I was like, yeah, man, overshooting's crazy. And he's like, and then you just keep doing it. So like players can get large benefits from this. Like I really only started super paying attention to this in terms of the phrasing that I'm using now, of like undershooting, overshooting, literally like after the pandemic, and I really focused on it actually during, you know, the lockdowns and stuff like that. So, you know, and that's why I was able to win glitches, because I was like, people are just going to run away from me. I'm just going to overshoot into them and kill them at 0. And that's what I did versus like every single person I played, including Leo. Here's the clip of it.
They played post-quarantine. So this is, I'm really excited. ESAM has really cleaned up his punish game. He was already known for his punish game, but in terms of like the sour, that's dead, yeah.
Yeah.
You're done.
And you were talking about the punch.
So things like this really can be that simple. You just have to be ready for it and paying attention. And yeah, that's going to be about it from this one. I hope you all enjoyed. As always, social media and party stuff is down below, and I will see you all next time. Peace.